You ready?
I'm ready.
Welcome everybody back to Todd Talks. I am joined here today by Chief Marketing Officer Mr. Joe Dendy, not only one of my favorite people in the entire organization, but certainly one of the most skilled and leads one of the most amazing groups and departments that we have in all of Quility. So welcome, Joe.
Welcome. Thank you much.
Man,
Happy
so
to
glad
be
to
here.
have you here today, buddy. And if you don't know, we like to start things off with a little bit of fun, if you don't mind.
I like fun. Isn't that one of
Yeah.
our core values?
It is one of the core values, and your marketing team gets behind this concept better than anybody. They thought it'd be fun if we started off with a couple of little games of charades.
Oh, goodness. The pressure's
Been
on.
a minute?
Let's do it.
You know charades?
Let's do it.
So what I'm going to do is attempt, while sitting down, because I can't stand up because of the camera angle, I'm going to attempt to act out a couple of words here in the charades that are tied to things that agent marketing touches.
All right. I got to think
right.
back about Karen, Madison,
Yeah.
Nick, and Lacey. All right, let's go.
They're the ones that put you up to this, by the way. So if you don't enjoy the game,
I'll thank them later.
you can talk to them after the show. All right, let's go with the first one.
2 words.
Mm-hmm.
National call.
Mm-hmm.
National.
Boom! Nailed it! National call. I didn't even get... I had the whole
Right.
phone dialed in, ready to go. All right, let's go again. 2 words.
2 words. Headshot. Below the knees. I like the headshot. Email signature.
Really good.
But not it.
Not quite.
All right, we're going to pass on this one.
All right.
Jumping jacks.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Stretches.
All right.
2 words.
Mm-hmm.
The second word. Writing.
Don't you love it in charades when somebody just keeps doing the same thing? Like you can't guess it the first
Exactly.
time.
I don't get it.
Training scripts.
Training script. Oh, I get the training aspect of it. That was physical training.
The other one was HQ too. I was totally blowing it. I'm trying to make a Q over here. If I'm standing up, it makes a little more sense. But to me, I think you really nailed it with headshot. That's exactly what I think of is our national calls. And by the way, we need to be doing a better job out there as agents. Make sure we're getting your pictures in so that we can have those beautiful headshots on the national calls. So just want to kick off a little bit of fun there, Joe, and wanted to first of all say thank you for taking time out of your schedule.
Yes, sir.
You certainly have one of the more full calendars that I have a privilege of seeing behind the scenes on a weekly basis here at Quility. And beautiful Swannanoa, and I know a lot of people out there that have been around for some time are very familiar with you. But for the new agents out there, Joe, I just kind of want to start first of all. Talk a little bit about yourself. Tell them a little bit about your role.
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit of your journey of how you got here to Quility.
Absolutely. Thanks, Todd, for having me. So I've spent 22 years in marketing. Grew up in Alabama. Went to school at Auburn University. Thank you for not holding that against me, my friend. My career in marketing has kind of covered the gamut of a lot of the different parts of the vertical. So I started my own publicity firm straight out of college, did that for 8 years. I then moved over to experiential marketing, where we did PR stunts for the likes of Major League Baseball, Bank of America, the Army. It was a lot of fun, a lot of hard
Very
work.
cool. By the way, your baseball team is a lot cooler than your football team.
They were a lot more successful this year too. That's a good point. After that, I found myself in digital marketing for pharma. Right? I know we both spent time in pharma, and that was an exciting and inspirational part of my career. Took a lot of significant jumps in the opportunities that I had there. And I frequently reference my mentor at that company, Boss Chris. I mean, she was pivotal in the growth of my career and how I look at things. So it was really significant. And then I moved to Symmetry to become the CMO of Symmetry right at 5 years ago.
Man.
It's been a great 5 years, and I'm excited about what the next 5 years is going to bring. I moved here kind of serendipitously. I've known Brandon and Meredith for probably 20 years. And I happened to be at one of Brandon's birthday parties in the backyard of Native and started hearing about, the marketing needs here at Symmetry, and I hopped on board and haven't looked back. I think when I started as a CMO, it was a department of 2.5, and now there's close to 30 different marketers in this department. It's a whole heck of a lot of fun. And I think like a lot of folks would never imagine themselves in the life insurance industry. I'm one of those, but it's a really kind of a cool connection because one of my earliest memories was going on sales calls with my grandfather because he was a life insurance agent.
Oh, nice.
He was one of my mentors and heroes, and now many, many years later, I'm in the same industry.
That's very cool to hear. Granddad's my hero as well, and good to hear that that family is always been so influential for you as well as it has for me, and much appreciation. We tease about the sports stuff, but certainly both massive Atlanta Braves fans, and just hearing you talk about Symmetry and how it's gone from two employees to over 30 now, and so much has shifted in the marketplace in just the last 5 years since you've been on board here in the insurance industry. And so much of what we have going on today, Joe, is about building a brand and making sure that you're becoming recognizable to those that are out in the market that might be in the current space looking for our type of product. So it's more important now than ever to kind of build a brand and to build recognition across that. So can you share your perspective on that and just why it's so critical today for us as agents and Symmetry and Quility to continue to build on a really reputable brand?
Absolutely. This is a fun topic, and it might take me a minute to get there, but I'm gonna tie the room together for you.
All right.
So, my favorite core value of Symmetry's is relationships matter, people come first, and that rings true in everything we do every single day. And it's not just poignant, but it's paramount in marketing, because marketing is the initiation of that relationship that helps our agents go out and sell the products that we have to meet our clients' needs. And really what's at the core of relationships is trust, right? Trust is the primary value of exchange from a company to a consumer, right? And when you look at our industry, trust is top importance, right? Because people are always looking to protect two things. It's their family or their finances, right? And whether they're buying an insurance product from you or they're coming to work in your agency, they have those two things in mind, family and finances. And when that gets to branding is essentially building that initial perception of your industry, of your agency. And it's the initial and lasting impression that's going to build that trust and that relationship. So without the right branding, you're going to have a really hard time to build that trust. And there's a couple of pieces of branding that are important to keep in mind. You have your tangible aspects and your intangible aspects. When you look at the tangible pieces, it's your fonts, it's your colors, it's your logos, it's that visual representation. And that's what the first thing that the eye catches, right? And we do a whole lot of work in the marketing department to provide those aspects for you if you want to use them. You don't need to go create all of that stuff for you, right? We've got a massive team working to provide that for you. The other side of branding is the intangible components, right? It's the personality and it's how your brand makes people feel. It's that emotional connection. And that is something that I think a lot of people forget about, right? There's a recent study for the U.S. Future Consumers Report that shows 63% of all consumers view a company's behavior to be as important as the goods and services that they provide, which is a staggering statistic. And that has really changed since the pandemic, right? People are now looking into what are their companies doing, and that's driving consumer behavior. So branding is critical to build that relationship, right? It's that initial impression. And as the famous line from a movie goes, correct branding can be the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Pop quiz. What's that from?
Casablanca.
Good job.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Good job. So that's what branding can be. Branding can be the start of a beautiful friendship.
Well, and when we're talking about that branding and looking at maybe a new agent or an agency that's been around with us for a while that hasn't leaned into truly trying to make a consistent, recognizable brand for themselves, can you tell us some of the major do's and don'ts right now?
Absolutely. So if we think about a big part of branding is emotional connection, I think first and foremost, be authentic and be yourself. It can be exhausting and incredibly draining to have to focus on that emotional connection if you're not yourself. All right. So that's number one. Number two, I would say consistency, right? I think we heard on this last week's call, national call, the importance of consistency for agents. Consistency is also critical for marketing and for branding, right? So we typically refer to it as brand congruency. It's consistency, right? So if you think about the definition of congruent, it's one thing is the same as the other. So when we look at that in branding and the tangible aspects of branding, are you using the same logo every time? Are you leveraging the same colors throughout all of your pieces, right? The intangible piece, are you communicating with your target audience in the same manner? Is there consistency? And consistency builds trust. So that's super, super important. That's something that we focus and harp on in marketing all the time. So taking that emotional connection a step further, it's, a really important thing to be thinking about is be intentional in the messaging and what you're putting out into the world, and also be very, very mindful and aware of how that could be perceived. Not how you would perceive it, but how that could be perceived, right? We live in a very volatile, divisive, and flat out loud culture now, particularly on social media. Divisive things get exemplified and amplified on social media, right? So if you think back about that 63% stat that I mentioned earlier that view companies' behavior as important as the goods and services that are sold, be mindful in what you put out there. Do you want to alienate and isolate 63% of the recruits you're talking to or 63% of the clients you want to engage with? I don't think you do.
Right.
I don't think you do. And then the last thing I would say is don't recreate the wheel if you don't want to, right? We have an extensive library, as I said, in HQ of assets that you can leverage for your agency. Now, that's not to say you can't go on and create your own brand. You should, right? And there are a lot of agencies who have done an absolutely beautiful job creating their own branding for their unique agency, but you don't have to do that. We have the logos, we have the colors, you have the support from the home office that can do that for you.
The marketing resources that you guys have put together are top notch that you can find on HQ, and highly recommend you do so. And listening to Joe explain this too, I'd say from a consistency standpoint, take some time, go through the marketing materials that Symmetry and Quility have put out there. You'll see what Joe is talking about in the consistency. And I think also one of the coolest parts of what you just said in part A there was who we are as an organization. I get asked a lot of times, what is it that truly sets Symmetry apart from all the other competitors in our space? And I really believe, to me, it boils down to the word authentic.
Yep.
And I think our marketing team does a tremendous job of really bringing out who we are as individuals at our core. And when you are authentic, I believe it is so much easier for you to build trust with your targeted audience out there. So you guys do a great job. And, I bring up this point, Joe, about whether it's Quility, whether it's Symmetry, If I'm an agent or agency owner out there right now, do me a favor and kind of walk us through this concept of when I'm thinking about branding or marketing my agency, when's the right time, the wrong time to use Quility versus Symmetry, and how do we properly leverage both? And most importantly, as agents, what can we do to really support the efforts that you guys are really putting a lot of energy into?
That's the $1 million question. Thank you for asking it, and we get asked this a whole lot. So thank you. Look, backed by 14 years of storied success, Symmetry Financial Group is the nation's leading IMO, hands down. Right? Brandon, Casey, Brian, Meredith, Jerry, Sarah, they've all built the best IMO in the country. And Symmetry agents and Symmetry managers have the opportunity and the privilege to leverage that in their agency branding and in their agency marketing. Not only do they get to leverage that, they get to ride the momentum and the wave of all of the marketing investment that they've made over the years. And that is a beautiful thing, right? Quility, as Brandon and Casey eloquently articulated in Denver, is our parent company. Right? Quility is the parent company, and they are the downstream supplier of leads, applications, data, product, community engagement, and corporate support for their distribution channels, which the primary and core distribution channel is Symmetry. So in essence, Quility powers Symmetry, hence the moniker that we've all been using, which is powered by Quility. So Symmetry agents and Symmetry agencies can wave that Symmetry flag and can state that their agency is powered by Quility. And as you continue to see Quility in the marketplace, that's going to be very, very significant as it's powering thousands and thousands of agencies from coast to coast. I think what's critical to answer the second part of your question is that we need to be mindful of when that statement is used and to not leverage the Quility brand in agent recruiting, because Quility powers Symmetry.
On the flip side of that, Joe, I kind of want to talk about we've made a strong push here recently on national calls and trying to talk to our agents about all of the social media presence that we're building right now in today's world for Quility and Symmetry, and all the content that your group's putting out. What are some of the ways that we as agents can help further that message and make it more impactful, and ways that we can contribute when we're at home?
That's a great question. So I would say be as active as you can on social and engage with our posts and like, share, comment as quickly as you can on those posts. People do look at that, right? The general public, when they see our posts, they see our content, they like to see and they appreciate the momentum that's behind them, right? Additionally, what we are focusing in on, and again, going back to the marketing assets in HQ, we are loading in social media posts for agents to put on their own channels. So access those and use those as much as possible, but don't delay. When you see posts out there, ride the wave, comment on them, like them. You know, it's interesting. I get notifications on all of the interactions on our posts in my inbox. So I see that. And what's astounding is we have agents from other organizations that are more active on our posts than ours are. Seeing that amount of traffic from our competitors on our site is not a good look for any of us. So what we need is for agents to like, to share, and to comment and support of the stuff that we put out.
Okay.
And don't be shown up by the competitors.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think challenge received well. We certainly want to do our part, guys, and I know I found myself enjoying the content, reading the marketing, even saving the post and the snapshots, and I see that being shared on so many social media platforms for other of our agencies. So we all can do a better job of making sure that we're liking comments, we're liking the content that's being put out there, sharing, and making sure that we're doing our part to help those algorithms and make sure that our content is getting to the right audiences. So I really appreciate that, Joe. I appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, buddy.
I know you're a busy man and going to get you back to it. It's really cool to see that in just 5 short years, what you've been able to build out in your department. To think that you started with 2 employees, and now we're tracking down to becoming potentially a $10 billion company is it's a huge goal that I know that we all are striving and working extremely hard towards. But it's also important for us to take a quick snap shot and look at how far we've come in just 5 short years. So appreciate you and everything that your team does, and appreciate everybody for tuning in. And we look forward to seeing you on the very next Todd Talk.
Thanks, buddy.